Well, friends, we start with a spiral. The first opponent, you are already seeing what my team has been. And in this case, I have to tell you that basically the node is the sugar pails. And in this, and the sugar pill is basically establishing contact with the self-attacking defender, a placebo improvement for 12 seconds. When the maximum amount is reached, this enhancement is updated instead of getting new ones whenever an enhancement expires, i.e. it was not the attacker. There is a 20% chance for the defender to gain a passive effect of unstoppable during 5 seconds in this case, since I am using it with Photon. In the end, he is the best character to give this spiral due to the number of disadvantages we leave, but apart from this spiral, it has hemorrhage ignition nodes that hit the defender because it changes depending on the function in which the spiral is. That right now is in ignition, that you can see under the life, and basically that is going to make us put at a disadvantage. In this case, we take that to Photon because let's remember that it is immune to bleeding, and you simply have to be sticking to the spiral when that bleeding is acting, apart from the fact that we cannot make any type of stop with this spiral because it is going to turn us back and it is going to do us damage. It is going to cause us ourselves. Next character, folks. This is nothing more and nothing less than Punisher, which once again has the sugar pill node that I just explained in Photon. But apart from that, the attacker has to start with the fight with a power bar. In this case, it makes the fight a little easier for us, but apart from that, we have to win a regeneration passive. We win a regeneration passive as you are seeing under Photon's life. That will help us greatly to carry out the fight. Now come the attacker's nodes, which in this case, the front ones in the fight win a percentage of attack strength. Whenever attacker hits the same type of basic attack twice in a row, the defender has an efficiency improvement that increases super attack damage. Since they have started punishing, and every time the defender has efficiency, it also has an impact charge every 7 seconds. The next disadvantage activated in Punisher, since it purifies and basically has about 75% power bar. Therefore, we must force Punisher to reach super attack 2, which is the easiest to avoid. And in this case with Photon, since you are already seeing how easy this Punisher becomes, it is worth a lot of care with those efficiencies, because that's why it may be bothering us to a great extent. Now, if we go to the right side, in this case we start from the right side, we go with Wong and Wong. Apart from having sugar skin, well, we received no damage during the first 3 hits. We start with 5 light loads, 4 medium, and 2 heavy loads, and once it is basically taken away from us, we are going to have less power, plus every 12 seconds we are going to suffer rooting. That you are already seeing the timer below the Photon life, and they are the only important 6 nodes that one has. As I always tell one, you have to force him to throw super attack 1, which is the easiest to avoid. And here we have to be clear that we have to be sticking to the disadvantages and be very careful with that rooting timer, because it will root us unless we are throwing a super attack or we are far from the opponent. Apart from this, we must also be clear about the loads that you are seeing from strong blows, weak blows, because we cannot let them be eliminated from us. And they reach 0, because if not, they are going to be taking away a lot of power from us. It's a pretty simple fight. As you have just seen, we are going for the next character, which is nothing more and nothing less than Big Vision, another character that is quite complicated to make. He has the sugar pill again, and at the beginning of the fight, since we gain a 15-second regeneration passive of 15%, the attacker starts with 5 light loads, 4 medium, and 2 heavy, which happens again when the backward attacker has 1 kilometer regeneration for 1.20 seconds. Again, he applies that regeneration to Big Vision. When the attacker fills a power bar, he has 6 seconds to overattack or instantly lose 20% of his life. Therefore, it must be clear that Big Vision is a quite complicated character, and above all that he throws that sub-attack 1. In this case, I have been able to avoid it well, but this is not usually the case because it is quite complicated, and as you know, it is going to do a lot of damage to your nodes due to incineration. In reality, the only thing we have to be clear about is leaving the disadvantages and doing the combos as you are seeing, because if we are not going to be able to be, then taking away a lot of power from us. Let's remember that with the super attacks, we updated those charges, and the truth is that VIP Vision with Snake has turned out to be very, very simple. We are going for the next one, which in this case is Sentinella, which once again has the sugar pill node, and let's remember that we have nodes. The attacker gains a regeneration passive, and apart from that, we do not receive damage in the triple of the first 3 Sentinel hits. Then Money calls Money the character with the most upgrades. We gain a 12% improvement in power, therefore Snake comes very well because it gains that accumulation of power. Apart from activating a super attack, the defender gets an improvement of that has a 25% probability of avoidance, and apart from that, unstoppable improvement. As you can see and apart, when Super Attractive Defense has an improved immunity to stun, those are the only nodes that Sentinel has. So actually Sentinel, what you have to be doing to him is taking him to Super Attack 1, which is the easiest one to evade. And in this case, developing a Serpiente is worth it to be able to gain these loads of cool force and be able to develop a Sentinela in a simple way. In this case, well, we are lucky because it is missing very well. The fight is unstoppable due to the pill node since we are totally counteracting it with all the improvements we are gaining. In this case, the unstoppable is already active and our sentinel friend has given us a few taps. Be very careful. I recommend you make stops when that unstoppable and that illusion is acting, and the truth is that you wouldn't have to have much more problem. In this case, you are already seeing how easy it is to date Snake. In this case, Super Take 2 is quite easy to avoid. As you are seeing, it is actually a somewhat heavy fight because in the end, when Sentinel reaches the 100 pink loads that you are seeing under life, well, it becomes that the damage that we cause him, well, we do it much less. Therefore, it is a very simple fight, but at the same time, it is quite slow. I think it is one of the latest we have in this shock, and as you are seeing, we simply have to take it into account. The node of illusion is unstoppable, and it would already be. In reality, this fight is not complicated at all because in the end, Citinella is a character of attack and not defense, which is almost because we are about to kill him as you are seeing right now, and that's it. Our sentinel just went down simple. The next character is a character that many people may be bothering, such as Abon and Mao, a character who also has the sugar pill node. We as attackers have passive regeneration, and apart from the fact that we do not receive damage in the 3 blows received, the problem is that it comes here that Drink and Mao has the cold wave node, bleeding, that will be changed according to the icon. In this case, you are already seeing that it has a separate cold wave every 7 seconds. The next handicap activated on the defender is purified immediately. Every time this activates, the defender has a power bar, and apart from that, the defender is immune. The disadvantages of demolition, and in this case, I believe that photon is the best to give it because in the end, we leave many disadvantages, and what is key here with Ebony Moo is to hit hard to prevent the character from developing with those charges that he is seeing under photon's life with that number 6, which is what is going to cause us to fail. Apart from photon, when it is in the mode that you are seeing right now of untouchable and with those loads of the dwellings and where it is back, well, we are going to be counteracting the failure. Therefore, Photon is the most suitable character to give this Bonnie Mao. I'm already seeing how simple he's falling with the character, okay? And in this case, the right path would be over because right now we would go after Snake. But Snake, I want to explain. At the end of the video, you are already seeing that we have moved on to the Deadles, and that in this case, I make the character change, and that we are also going to explain it later in the other path to end the video. Okay, in this case, I did it with Snake, and it came out quite simple. You are already seeing 343 of a round, and in this case, we claim the first pass and the rewards of the prizes. And there we have it. Now yes, we are going down the left path, which I have already killed Spiral and Punisher because I'm not going to show you again. And basically we are going down the left path, which is waiting for us. Domino, that Domino, he is a somewhat complicated character. In this case, we no longer have the sugar pill. Basically, we have that we gain a regeneration passive that heals 15% of his base life, hit the defender, has a 40% probability of having poison, and another cold classroom depending on how Domino has that icon. In this case, it is in poison. Apart from the defender has a 60% combat power rate and is reduced when and has more than 2 power bars, and the defender begins the fight with an indefinite efficiency passive effect. As you are seeing below Domino's life, Domino is actually quite simple when you wear the indicated country, as in this case. I consider that it is probably the best thing to give him, and you are already seeing that he is actually a very easy character to kill. Be very careful because this character can go exactly crazy with that regeneration block and so on, but you are already seeing that in the end the fight against this Domino can be quite simple. Ready? It turned out very simple. The truth is that Domino is a character that if you don't hit him with the counter, he will be doing you a lot of damage due to that critical failure. We're going now because Megasonic doesn't have the sugar pill either. So he has some notes that the attacker begins with a power bar fight. Sorry, every time a champion doesn't have a power bar, the attacker suffers 10% discouragement. No character can activate upgrades or downsides in the first 30 seconds that you are already seeing under Megasonic's life. How that orange icon prevents us from putting it at a disadvantage. We have upgrades, none, and apart from dealing a critical hit, adds a 3 to the attacker's combo meter. With attacker, it ends like with the same attack in which I ended. It is a guaranteed critical blow. In this case, with problem, you are already seeing that Megasonic is quite easy to get down. In this case, remember that Megasonic cannot be stopped, and with passive disadvantages like Prowler because he can serve us in the fight. Note the next character, which is Daffler, quite powerful character in defense. In this case, we as attackers start with a power bar, and apart from that, we do not receive damage in the first 3 hits, but the notes it has is that every 6 seconds of attackers suffer passively rooting for 4 seconds. The timer pauses when the attacker is rooted, and if it restarts, that attacker hits a blow, as in this case it will happen to us, as we have not hit a blow within that timer since it has rooted us. Apart from that, the defender has a 70% power bar, but he has minus 80 when he gets more than 2 bars, and every time the attacker blocks a hit, because he has a master block that is reduced by 6% with 10 charges, and after those 10 charges pass that are right now in 6, red in 7, 8, 9, and 10, well, the next Daffler block, the next attack is going to be summoned. You are already seeing how we have suffered, because let's remember that Daffler does a lot of damage through those taps, okay? So we have to be blocking many times. Therefore, this node is designed to give it to therefore become summonable. But you are also seeing that with Prowler, we do not have any type of problem in getting this one shot out. Okay, we're going for the next one, which is Screen, which also doesn't have a sugar pill, and in this case the attacker starts with a power bar, and apart from our first 3 hits received, we don't receive damage. But what does this Screen have? Well, the defender has a 100% increase in defensive skill accuracy. When the attacker has 3 or more handicaps, the defender becomes unblockable until the attacker has 0 handicaps. When the attacker activates an upgrade, his health is instantly, and the defender has 75% power bar. In this case, Photon is very spectacular because Photon does not usually have any type of advantage, so to speak. Aside from when the defender has a power bar, the attacker suffers an electric sting disadvantage for 3 seconds. The electric sting is activated and eliminated if the attacker activates a super attack. So in this case, we have to be a little careful, because above all, we have to be clear when you win a power bar. Off screen, because we are going to have an electric sting disadvantage, as you are seeing under Photon's life, in which we are not going to be able to throw any type of super attack, because I already tell you that the damage, as you just saw, is quite fat, and I do not recommend that you throw any super attack when we have those electric stings at screen. As always, force her to throw super attack 1, which is the easiest to avoid, and be very careful with that super attack 2, because it can do us a lot of damage. I think it is the fight that has cost me the most, and that the truth is that Photon has helped me a lot on the issue of Del. Fail, which is why I thought it was the perfect counter to give it. You are already seeing how it has reduced our life quite a bit, and since it is an electric needle, it acts on us again, and even so Screen, well, it is still like a mass of damage. In this case, if he gave us 2 super attacks, we simply have to go completely backwards, and in this case, we could go quite easily here to pure interception because we try to get Screen to throw the blows at us and thus be able to do him a lot of damage. Can you see how I am? And forcing him to throw super attack 2, just throw it and we can move forward. It makes us stop, because we remember that these characters are as if we were fighting in Alliance Wars and they have the masteries unlocked, and I thought I wasn't going to release the one shot against Screen. But in the end it did happen. Now it does friends. Let's go for Serpent, the most fearsome character, the top 1 defender for me. In this case, the defender begins the fight with the following disadvantages: petrification, repression, and succession of disadvantages. Some attackers in the fight gain 15% attack power, and their stop triggers a passive stun effect instead of a handicap. That's gonna help us give Snake. At the beginning of the fight, the attacker wins a passive regeneration, and whenever there is an improvement from the defender, it expires. If the attacker succeeds, not everything is strong. A super attack between seconds, the defender suffers bluff faltering. That is where we are going to be supporting in this fight against Snake. Apart from it has the grandmother fight, that every 12 seconds you are already seeing that under the life of Snake, well, it has that unstoppable improvement that has just been generated. Therefore, in this case, it has helped us. Be careful that there I got the low battery, so be very careful, because thank goodness we were finishing, well, the fight and such. Then we have to force it to activate. The fault so that he snakes like this, well, he doesn't throw his super attacks at us and he can't give us. You are already seeing how the next weakening is entering him, and in this case how we have stayed close. Well, they have put it on us. Thank you very much also with the unstoppable node, that in this case, since we have stayed away from the snake, since it has activated us, therefore we can now give it a better way. I also tell you that Kusala for me is the best character to give him, because you are already seeing how he can block those unblockable attacks that Snake is so fearsome. In this case, you are already seeing it as he also has quite strength, and apart from having the advantage of class, because this Kusala will always be helping us, in this case we are not losing almost any life and we are regenerating thanks to the very disadvantage of fear that snakes usually leave us. You're already seeing how we are developing it. In this case, it has the new flaky one. So we can be hitting it, and apart from the disadvantage of stunning that is basically passive, we can be leaning on it to be able to develop well, accuse it, and be able to do a lot of damage through the spiritual bush. Because let's remember that the snake activates many improvements. We already have it almost to the point in this case, since the spiritual bush is doing more damage because in the end it has many active advantages, and in fact it is not letting the snake cover itself. So that's helped us blow him up. Are you already seeing how we are doing too? Bursting. And how is he cornering us in this case? Well, we have the fault placed on us and we cannot be sticking it, but you are already seeing how in this case with the super attack 1, we put those incineration disadvantages on it and it already falls like butter. The truth is that I honestly didn't think that this one-shot fight was going to turn out so well for us. Okay, so nothing. Now we are going to select the character with Thanos. In this case, I'm going to explain to you what Thanos is having. In this case, we let him see. I don't remember that the character changes. I think it was Titania. If I remember correctly, remember that Decadence is the one we have to be using in this Allen Worksukis. And I think, yes, that was Titania. I'm not so sure. Let's see, it was Titania. Indeed, well, basically, let's remember that this Thanos does have the sugar pill node, and I remind you that basically this time the contract with the defender or the attacker touches an improvement in platelets for 3 seconds. When the maximum amount reaches these improvements are updated. Okay, so what nodes do we have? Well, the attacker does not receive damage in his first 3 hits. The attacker begins the fight with a bar to establish contact with the defender, since that is what I just explained to you about the sugar pile. Then you have the demolition thing. Each time the defender is knocked down, the attacker gains a fury upgrade that increases attack strength by 5% for 10 seconds. This cannot be prevented by modifying skills pension. Apart from that, the defender is immune to the effects of stun like any warlord, and when the defender is hit, he has 4% physical resistance or energy resistance. The resistance upgrade type changes every 8 seconds. These are the nodes that our friend Thanos has, and actually Thanos is a simple fight. As long as we know how to avoid the super attacks that Thanos has, in this case the super attack 2, let us remember that we only have to avoid the yellow part that Thanos Daedalus has, because otherwise it may be doing us a lot of damage, and I always recommend that you go to the super attack 2. In this case you have seen the yellow, as we have been able to eliminate it both, and in the end Titania is a piece of beast that is helping us a lot, largely due to the sugar pill, since it has become unstoppable, so very careful with the disadvantages that we are leaving with titanium, because the issue is getting a little easier for us. You are already seeing in this case how we have good disadvantages, because the unstoppable has not acted like the sugar pill. Super attack 1, I already told you about Thanos, is the easiest to avoid, so it is the one you will always have to use. In reality, it's not difficult. You simply have to know how to avoid the character with his super attacks, because in reality his super attacks and so on, you are already seeing that they are super easy. The other blows are also easy. Here, always try to intercept Thanos so that it is very simple, because getting rid of the character and a little more is actually quite simple, I'm telling you. So nothing, we already have it at 33%. The nodes, so to speak, are not important either. You must always keep in mind that the more disadvantages the sugar pill has, since it will not be acting on you therefore. It is very simple. In this case, you are seeing how it is turning out quite simple with Titania, and how we are doing it basically at pure blow and apart from pure disadvantage. So you are already seeing it. Be careful that he goes to the left, perfect, ready. He has very little life left. In this case, I have to tell you that the fights that I have taught us have also come from one son. So in reality, it is a fairly simple show quiz. It seems much simpler to me than the show quiz that we had a while ago. Very powerful, glorious, so it is a very simple show. But I also tell you that if for whatever reason you want to hire me, you have my WhatsApp in the description in case you want me to do this show for you, which is so that you can see that it can be done perfectly without expense. Maybe you spend a little more, but you can already see that I am doing it without spending anything. So we have nothing there in the one shot, and there we already have the prizes. what I have told you, you have my WhatsApp in the description in case you want me to do this mission for you, is very important because we have those shards, we have that essence of light and many more prizes. So friends, if you like the video, I suggest if you do, and see you in other videos. Bye bye.